Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Now regular viewers of this channel will know I do like to take the piss out of WTF1, but when Matt Gallagher from P1's Matt and Tommy makes a boo-boo, then I have got to pull him to task as well. So this is what Matt tweeted out after last night's Grand Prix. He says, ha 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 ha. The drivers are absolutely finished after that race. Now you can clearly see at the bottom it says this post has been deleted. So Matt was obviously very concerned of getting cancelled by the general public, so he rather promptly deleted the tweet. Now Matthew Gallagher is basically like the 14-year-old schoolboy who lets off a stink bomb in class and then legs it quickly out the door before the real smell starts to permeate up your nostrils. Yes, it's all schoolboy stuff and pretty much what you'd expect from Matt Gallagher, to be honest. So there's not really much you can say about that. All I will say about that is someone who used to work in containers during the summer where some of the temperatures got up to about 120 degrees inside the container. That wall of heat that hits you is very, very uncomfortable indeed. And of course I wasn't driving a Formula 1 car, I was just in the back of a container. Now, a Formula 1 car, of course, has no natural cooling. It's cooled by air. The air that's coming towards you keeps the engine, keeps everything cool, including you a little bit as well if you're in the cockpit. So without that fresh air coming towards you and hitting you, you're just basically driving around in a wall of heat. A wall of heat. And it's just very uncomfortable indeed. Now, let's move on to the race then. Yes. And I'd first like to talk about Logan Sargeant. I've seen a lot of people online saying about how much of a wimp he was, but let's put it into perspective because I've got this off a statement from Williams themselves that said that at the start of the week, Logan Sargeant was reporting that he's having like flu-like symptoms. And so he was not well anyway when he went into that race. So that was probably one of the reasons why he just couldn't get around to the end. And let's face it, he did try. He carried on for about another, 5 laps after he initially said to his pit crew that he was having problems. So he really did try. But then eventually, of course, he did have to pull out of the race. And it's all right for these F1 YouTubers to come out and say, yes, it's very, very true. All these F1 drivers are entitled, they're privileged. They don't really know what real life is like. But they're also sportsmen and they have to train like crazy. They are as fit as a butcher's dog 100% of the time. They have to be. Otherwise, you can't make it in an F1 car. So anyone saying that, they're just a load of wimps is actually crap because they are elite sportsmen, absolutely elite sportsmen. And if they could not stand the heat, then it was obviously too hot to do a motor race. Now, of course, this doesn't bother the oil sheiks out there in, Qatar and stuff like that. They just want their money, so the race went ahead. Now, I understand next year the race is going to be in December, so it should be cooler, hopefully. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how the weather system works at that time of year. I don't know whether it's their summer, winter, autumn or whatever, but hopefully in December it will be a lot cooler because that race just looked horrendous. I was hearing reports that pretty much about 7 drivers in that race had to report to the medical centre for basically either exhaustion or extreme dehydration. And none of that is anything to laugh about. It really isn't. And when you're sacrificing everything for your sport, including your own health, then something has to change. Something definitely has to change. And I'll tell you something else that needs to change, and that is to bring back next year free stops for all the races, because I absolutely love the free stops. Now, not like it was here in Qatar, of course, where it was a mandatory forced 18-lap stop, which didn't really add any sort of excitement to the race because we all knew they were going to come in. A lot of them came in though on lap 12, which sort of surprised me. I thought they'd stretch it out to 18 laps before they came in, but no, some of them came in on lap 12. But yeah, it was very predictable because we knew at some point they were going to have to come in for their stops. But next year, please, because this is the first time that we've seen a modern car race racing a 2003 World Championship race, which is basically what it was. And don't forget, of course, they brought in all the new regulations for 2003 because 2002 was a dominating year for Michael Schumacher. Everyone was getting bored. They weren't watching the TV coverage. And so they brought in all these regulations. And one of those, of course, was that the tyres were really, really soft and really wouldn't last very long, and so they had to make 3 stops during a Grand Prix. And I just loved it last night. It just reminded me of those good old days, and it was exciting because there was lots happening all the time. Because as they said, I think there was 60 pit stops in total for all the cars. So it was exciting that, and they could only push for 12, 13, 14 laps and then come in again. And the whole race, as they said. And that was one of the reasons why I think that a lot of the drivers almost passed out from exhaustion, was because they were basically trying to do qualifying sessions all the time in the race. But I loved it. And I think that's what F1 needs to return to. We need more pit stops in the race. We need a free stop. One stop is just so boring. It's just so boring, and it's so predictable because we know exactly what's going to go on. They're either going to start on the hards or they're going to start on the mediums, and it's just, there's no strategy. There's no strategy. In a free stop race, you've got so many permutations. It's just crazy, in fact. You've got the soft tyres or the mediums, or you go for the hard. But I doubt if anyone would go for the hard on a free stop. But of course, some did. I was very surprised that anyone actually went onto the hard tyre in a free stop race, because I don't see what advantage that would gain. But anyway, so yeah, but it was just really exciting for me. I was watching this and thinking, wow, this is just like 2003 all over again. It really is. And I think it really added to the spectacle. It really did. I mean, the race itself wasn't that exciting. There really wasn't much going on. But overall, I was excited because of all the pit stops. And once again, for one of the first times, I didn't fall asleep at about the halfway distance, which is what I usually do when I'm watching it. So it was a win-win for me. It was a win-win. So I was really excited, and I just wish that next year they could bring that back and we have 3 tyre stops, because I found it really exciting with all that going on. Of course, as I say, unfortunately it was in false, so it did take a little bit of the shine off the excitement, but I still loved it, and I just thought, yes. And to see the modern cars doing that as well, and I mean, as I say, it's the first time this has happened in the modern era that we've had 3 stops. I mean, when did we go down to 1 stop? I think it was 2017 or something, wasn't it? They started, we had 2 stops, but I'm pretty sure by 2017 it had gone to 1 stop, and it's been pretty much 1 stop through loads of the races since 2017. Sometimes they stop twice, but predominantly, and especially the last sort of 2-3 years, it's been only 1 stopping, and I just find that so boring because there's no strategy. There is no strategy in a 1 stop. There just isn't. You either start on the hard or the medium. What strategy is there? It's supposed to be a motor race. Put them on soft tyres, let them stop lots of times, and then just make it, because that was just really exciting for me. Anyway, I'm waffling on. As I said, the race itself wasn't that exciting, but of course, at the start of the race, there was a little bit of excitement, and there it is. Let me just blow that up a little bit if you can't see it. It was Lulu. Yes, Lulu, unfortunately, collided with his own teammate. Oh my God, I had Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard at McLaren flashbacks when that happened. I was like, oh no. Now, luckily, unlike that situation, Lewis was out, whereas Mika managed to continue. And I always remember that famous, I think he still got a podium. Yeah, he got a podium as well. And that famous podium celebrations where Mika was like, I'm not talking to you, Coulthard. And he wouldn't even look him in the eye. He wouldn't even look Coulthard in the eye. And I just thought that was so funny. It really was. So we didn't have that situation. But yes, the worst thing that can happen in a Formula One race is for you to hit your own teammate. Now, of course, Lewis Hamilton said pretty much straight after the race that he thought that it was, or actually I think it was during the race, he thought that, George Russell just went straight into me. You heard it on the team radio. Yeah, George just went straight into me. Of course, the drivers are always going to say that. They're always going to say that. On reflection and after looking at the replays of the race, I will give props to Lewis Hamilton. He did come out and he did tweet out and say, no, sorry, George, that was my bad. And he did come up after the race and actually go and see George, didn't he? I saw that on the Channel 4 coverage and say, no, look, sorry, mate, that was 100% my bad. So, yeah, Lewis did own up to that mistake. All the drivers are first off are going to say, no, it wasn't me, it was you. I mean, that's just human nature. We're all going to do that ourselves in life. We'll say that. So nothing against Lewis there. And he did own up and say, yeah, because it was. Lewis just squeezed Jules. There was no room for Jules to go anywhere, and Lewis just squeezed him, and unfortunately squeezed him so much that George Russell took off his tyre, which I found remarkable. Yeah, that his tyre was disappeared, as you can see in the picture. The tyre's completely delaminated and fallen off as well. Which was not good for Lulu, because of course that was the end of his race. So that was basically the sort of first incident we had during the race. And here's another sort of picture of it there. There is Lewis Hamilton, and you can see he's basically cut straight in front of George Russell's car. You can see the back wheel of Lewis Hamilton's car there is actually up in the air, where he's obviously making the contact with George Russell's car, and it's lifting his own car up in the air. And you can also see the pieces of debris and carbon fibre and hundreds of bits of carbon fibre that fly up when any car makes contact with another one. So yeah, that was not Lewis Hamilton's best day. As one of the commentators said, Lewis Hamilton, when you get alongside him, he's very, very good. But in this instance, I don't know what happened. He did sound on the team radio before the race started, didn't he? He said, I'm going to get absolutely murdered here, because he was on the soft tyre and everyone else was pretty much on the medium. So I think he was worried about that. So I think he was trying to, get as high up the grid as he could, go to turn one, but unfortunately it's the old adage of you never win a race into the first turn, and that's exactly what happened to Lewis Hamilton there. And he just went a bit too aggressive into the corner, completely put himself out. I did hear George Russell say he had damage to the car, but he did manage to carry on, so I don't know what that actual damage was. It obviously wasn't enough to put him out of the race, so he did manage to carry on. But yes, that is nothing. That is never anything you want to see in Formula One. Both your team, I mean, look, both got the Mercedes badges on the front of the car, so you can clearly see they're both in the same team, same cars, same spec, everything. And they just, into turn one, they collide into each other. Fernando Alonso's there in the background, as you can see. He must have had a bird's eye view of that and thought, yes, bloody hell, I might get up into second here. So yeah, that was an unfortunate incident. But once again, it was a racing incident. Of course, Lewis Hamilton didn't do it deliberately. Why would he? He's not, he's not fighting with George in the championship. He is fighting with Sergio Perez, though, which was a little bit unfortunate because of what happened. But yeah, so just a racing incident, really nothing you can say about that. So now we move on, of course, to the Piste de la Resistance. Yes. Congratulations to Maxi Boy Verstappen, who has won the championship. He actually won it in the sprint race, as I predicted. And unfortunately, I was hoping, as I said in another video, I was hoping that they weren't going to put the show on after the sprint race and wait until the main race was over before they, crowned him champion. But no, as it's the FIA, they could not wait. So straight after the sprint race, the neon lights came out. That's a special sort of display that he drove the car on. Did he drive it on, or did they push it? I can't remember. But anyway, that was a special display, all neon lit, that the car was put onto, and Maxi Boy stood on top of the car as the world champion, and that's a big screen in the background, showing the 2023 world champion, as in Max Verstappen. And well done to Max, well done. That Red Bull this year has been pretty much unbeatable. There's no one that's going to beat that Red Bull this year. I'm hoping that's going to change next year, because it is very bad for the sport. Unfortunately, as I've said, domination is bad for the sport. There's nothing that Max can do about it, and so I'm not having a go at Max. he can't slow down, so that's it. But domination in Formula One is very bad indeed, especially in the fact that everyone else behind Max is really, really competitive. You've got about 4 or 5 teams that could end up on those podiums, and now McLaren have pulled up to the plate, and oh my God, have they pulled up to the plate now with Lando and Pastry. It's just great to see, and I don't know where that's come from. I've said in previous streams that I've never seen a sort of car and a team manage to, start a season so badly and end up finishing where they are now. I mean, usually if your car's bad at the start, they can improve it a little tiny bit and it gets a little bit better. So if it's right at the back, by about a midway point of the season, you can usually get up to about a midfield position. But McLaren, I mean, don't forget, at the start of the season, they were finishing, 15th position? Something like that. It was something stupid. Absolutely ridiculous for a team like that. They were finishing 15th, and now they're getting podiums, and they're finishing, I say just behind the Red Bulls, there is a gap, but they are still finishing just behind the Red Bulls in second and third place. It's an unbelievable turnaround for the papaya cars. It just really is. And for me, it's just been amazing. I don't know what they've done. They've obviously just found that sweet spot. There was just something fundamental that was wrong with that car at the start of the season, and they cracked it. They absolutely cracked it. Like a scientist, trying to find a cure for a certain disease. They have found the cure for their McLaren, and it's just great to see. So you've got so many teams in the mix. You've got McLaren, you've got Ferrari in there. On a good day, Ferrari can be in the mix. You've got Mercedes in there, of course, with Lewis and George Russell. They can be in there. And you've also got Fernando Alonso. He can be in the mix as well, on his own, unfortunately, with his Aston Martin. Now let's just talk about Lance Stroll. Let's just talk a little bit about Lance Stroll. Absolutely appalling. A lot of people have said that he should be sacked for when he pushed his trainer. Well, I don't know about that. We don't know the circumstances, and we only just saw it in the background as he's walking around the back of the garage. We don't know. We have no idea what his trainer was saying to him or what. Or I think getting rid of him and sacking him is an overreaction. He should definitely apologise to his trainer for doing that. That's a given. But to actually get the sack for that, I don't know. What he should get the sack for is his performance on track, which is absolutely abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. I like the commentator when he said about it, and he said, "How do you feel about what's going on?" He said, "Yeah, it's shit." And the commentator actually apologised for his language. That's not your job. That really isn't. That's you just being lefty woke and not wanting to offend anyone. That's not your. That's for Lance Stroll not to say that in the first place. Yes, that goes back to the Matthew Gallagher tweeting. Yeah, if you think that tweet is not appropriate, then don't tweet it in the first place. Or if you do tweet it, stand by it and stand by your convictions and just let the public, have their say about it. That's what it's all about, debate. It's when you tweet something and then you take it away, okay, you're just like, oh God, you're just being all woke, basically. Okay, just if you're going to tweet it, then bloody tweet it and leave it there. And if the public's going to ritually sacrifice you like Braveheart and send pieces of your body to all 4 parts of the country, then that's it. Let it happen. But don't tweet something and then suddenly delete it, because you're thinking, I might get cancelled for this, like Russell Brand and Lawrence Fox and all the others, Just leave it. Or don't tweet it in the first place, which is obviously what you should do. But yeah, so Lance Stroll should actually be, banished for being the performance that he's doing, which is absolutely appalling. I mean, look at Fernando. I mean, obviously the Aston Martin. Now, I predicted this at the start of the season, and I'm glad to say I was correct. I said that the Aston Martin would be very strong out of the gate, but as the season progressed, I didn't think the development on that car was going to be great, and it's definitely showing now. There's very poor performance from the Aston Martin, but of course Fernando is wringing everything he can out of that car. Absolutely wringing everything he can out of it. But you can see that basically, in reality, it's probably about Lance Stroll level of what it currently is capable of. But you know, Fernando's just managing to pull more out of it. But yeah, it probably is only a 12th, 13th, 14th place finish at the moment for that Aston Martin, because, as I say, I think other cars are developed and Aston Martin have been left out a little bit in the cold, and they're just not, they haven't pushed forward like a lot of the other teams have. So anyway, congratulations to Maxi Boy. There he is, and some of his team. There's Adrian Newey. Look at that old bastard. Look, Christ, he must be about 100 by now. Surely. Don't forget he was designing the McLaren in 1998. 1998, yes. And of course he worked for Williams in the glory years. Damon Hill, 96. 97 with Jack Villeneuve, even though he'd left by then. But yeah, so he must be getting on. He must be getting near to his retirement. I would look up his age, but I don't want to because I don't want to upset myself. But yes, so there you go. There's Maxi Boy. Well done. Well done, Max. It's been a great season. And there's still like 5 or 6 races to go yet, which unfortunately is not good for Formula One in total, because as soon as we get to these non-championship races, unfortunately the enthusiasm does start to wane quite significantly, because no one's really interested in non-championship races, are they, really? I mean, that's what they are. They're this is just the fight now for who's going to come second or third, which I think if they continue in this vein, could well be McLaren, somewhere in the second or third place. I'm pretty sure it could be. But anyway, we'll see towards the end. But that's about the only fight we've got, really. And so interest in Formula One will now dip down. And the trouble is, it's only October. It's only October. I mean, you know, all the big F1 YouTubers now must be pulling their hair out, because they also know that F1 gaming videos is also reflected in real life as well. So the views for the gaming videos goes down as well as soon as the season's over. It's a weird analogy how that works, but it does work in that way. So yeah, views will be down like that. And it's only October. We've got until next March before the new season starts. It's a very, very long time. Very long time indeed. But, you know, what can you do? What can you do? But anyway, congratulations to Maxi Boy Verstappen. Yes, for winning the 2023 World Championship. 3 times now, he is the winner. Is he going to go on to be a great one like Lewis Hamilton, 7 times World Champion? Possibly. I can see, though, that he's going to reach a point where he's going to give it up. And I don't know if that's going to be before he gets to 7 or not. I don't know. I think he may only be a 5 times champion. He might call it a day. I'm not quite sure. But Max definitely, from his body language, doesn't seem to be in it for the long term. Not the super long term. Obviously, he'll be in it for the next 5 or 6, 7 years. But I can't see him. He's definitely not going to be a Fernando Alonso. He's not going to be still racing around the circuit when he's 41 years. You know, good luck to him. That's what I say. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I've been waffling on for 23 minutes now. Wowzers me trousers. This was our post-race review of the Qatar Grand Prix, the championship winning weekend for Maxi Boy Verstappen. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. You have been awesome as always. And I'll catch you in the next video.